Good morning, Suzanne Joy.
Good morning, Deborah, LeeAnn.
I'm really looking forward to this tuning in with you today.
Oh
I know
boy.
that should scare you. Um, no, not scare you, but you know, create a bit of intrigue. So my topic, because we've been playing around with this so much in our personal chats, I want to bring it forward here. How do you define integration?
Hmm. Integration. Ooh.
Feel like, what does it sound like? Which might be easier to come up with sounds. Um, or
Um,
what does it look like
I am
for you? Because I think
okay. Yeah,
it's
yeah. It's pretty relevant for me because I'm going through it in waves, and it's not pretty. And what I'm laughing about because it's hilarious to me how cosmically funny it is, where some of it is just pure raw emotion and like waves are coming through and it is uh wailing, like crying, just emoting whatever needs to come out. And sometimes that can be very alarming and intense. And then there's times of patience and mindfulness and like understanding, and it kind of weaves all together. And then there's this beautiful ecstatic like delicious ecstasy that I know that's who I came like who I naturally am, is buoyant and light. And so as I'm like navigating it, it kind of it that's in a nutshell feels like integration, because it's like, okay, I am not attaching to any particular outcome, but I'm weaving all of myself together. It may not all be pretty. It may actually rub up against other people's perception of their truth. And this is my beingness. This is my experience. This is my the way in which I'm relating to myself. And the thing, honestly, in this integration, this is not. We've been all kind of observing it, gently observing it. This was raw and intense, and almost like birthing is all I can put.
yeah. So my favorite form of learning is experiential, right? You learn to ride a bike by riding a bike. You don't learn to ride a bike by reading about it, by having somebody show you. You have to get on and figure out the balance and find your way and then gain the confidence and then move forward. So I'm laughing because experiential means you might fall, means you might, go, okay, I'm never getting on a bicycle again because that hurt, or
Well,
whatever.
no,
But
that's a great point. Because that is a great point. That are you going to stop because you feel like it's failure or if something's wrong, when in actuality, in order to do it, you got to go through it.
exactly. We did a recording, I don't know how long ago, but you can't go around it, you can't go over it, you can't go under it, you got to go through it. I mean, that whole thing. But and everyone's integration feels, because the other thing is, I don't think integration is a destination. I think we are integrating as a constant process, as an evolutionary and healing modality. I mean, we just are. We are growing and expanding and going, oh, and this is me too. Ooh, and this is me too. Oh, I like that. So we're like, okay, put that in, or that isn't me anymore.
Yeah.
And you were talking about dropping the rocks, like, why
Right.
are we carrying this big, huge backpack of ancient lineage, cultural media defined what it means to be a woman and aging and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, nah, don't need that. But I carried it for a long time. And I was afraid because I inherited it from my grandmother and mother that I would be passing it to my gorgeous daughters. And they have a little age fear thing going on. I'm like, hey, look at me, you know, you change, you're not going
Yeah.
to look the same, but you can be an amazing person.
Well, and this is where I was dancing in too, is we all kind of, came down in here. We're doing our own thing. We've chose the people that we like partnered with growing up to give us the rub, the grit to
Yeah,
expand us however we
the
wanted to.
pressure to form our diamond.
Yeah. Like, oh, thank you. Ah! But also, then what I'm also learning is, okay, I'm going through this super intense, and does it then have to be intense from here on out? Like, it's more like, oh, I'm seeing the pattern. Okay, now I can pivot. Ooh. And so you're not caught up in the reactionary mode anymore. It's more of, mm, oh, I see it for what it is. And then I can,
Course correct,
yeah.
much faster. So one of the teachers that I had in my very first thing I did in my 30s, long time ago, said, so this weekend we have gone through highs, we have gone through lows, we have had these big, huge roller coaster ride thing. And she said, I'm not saying it's not going to be, smooth sailing from here on out. And you are going to experience the shifts, but typically, especially if it's a repeated lesson,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to be this and this. It can
Right.
be more like, oh, there we are. And
Mhm.
we get into that. I used the term course correction, but we get into a recognition, the self-awareness of, I know what that is. Huh.
Right.
Come back. Here I am in my sovereignty, which interestingly, the gene key pulse of this week is selfishness, where it's
Mm.
all about me. I ain't room for nobody else because it's all about me. And moving into selflessness with the gift being altruism. And I'm curious about that because I tend to feel that women are so already selfless that I want to make sure that we're defining that in a way that is
Honor.
where we keep
Self-honoring.
ourselves, yes,
Yes.
self-honored,
So it's not.
sovereign,
Mhm.
and collective, which is another integration. Can we be this soul, this spirit in service to the collective? Because that's where the selflessness comes into. It's not about me having a purpose that's for me. Make it.
Right. It is what blesses one, blesses all. Right. So this is recognizing where we put our energy and build. That's where we're kind of identifying and aligning. This is really also about aligning your energy of where is the place in which you are to build and construct anew. Who are the partners in which you are in alignment with to build and move with, who have
Yeah.
the same core values or have the same trajectory and
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 and look at life in the integral way,
right,
right? And
right,
by integral, I mean that we don't just have an intellectual story, we have an emotional feeling or passion for this. We also have an energy that our body goes, ooh, yes, please, and wants to move forward towards it, right? So it's a calling forward
right,
versus a running from, I don't want this anymore. And that's what a lot of the protesting feels like for me. I'm
right.
a big fan of protesting if you're calling in change you're seeing that we come together to be seen as, you know, for or against or whatever something. But we
Right.
are, but when we are in that collective space, we feel the spiritual calling, the emotional calling, the physical draw, and it's an integral community. So it shouldn't just be serving us on one level. Well,
Right.
should, sorry. It,
No,
it's
but
more dynamic and alive. Does that
yeah,
make sense?
yes, the energy is more dynamic and alive when it's all in more of an alignment and it's synchronizing. It doesn't Richard talk about sync
Well, there's
sync
synarchy and there's
syncopation?
syncopation. I don't know. I remember more and I'm going to go back to my garden thing. You know, I was
Yeah,
thinking about plants that are supposed to be in shade because they like less sun, but they need more water than this succulent over here that needs less water. You know, what partners do you put in pots together so that they thrive? Which ones attract or repel the bugs? Like you plant marigolds around your tomatoes and your, you know, leaf lettuces and stuff because it keeps the leaf
right.
borers out. And I'm laughing because I'm going, of course. And I know these things. I've known them since I was yay big, didn't know why. But now I'm like, oh, so
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like the fractal families that support each other, you
And,
know, in that way.
and haven't you like had an experience, and I can attest to my own life, but that experience where you feel like a round peg in a square hole, like it just doesn't fit
Hmm.
anymore. And
Yeah, I remember my
and
boss
you're
telling
like,
me that I didn't belong in the corporate world.
and you're trying and you're trying and it's not working. And you're like, oh, okay, all
It's
right.
like you're too much of an individual. You just don't, you know, being in the corporate world may not be the right choice for you, Deborah. And I'm like, "Ah." At the time, I took that as such a slam, and now I'm like,
No, I did too. I did too. And now I'm like,
oh,
oh,
truth.
freedom. Woo!
So playing with integration, let's speak about what supports us in inviting in, um, releasing, um, opening the door for integration. I mean, I feel like there's prayers, there's practices. You and I have been playing with this for the last month, right? Going through our stuff and individually and collectively. And what I want to know is, do you have anything that we can offer? I feel like I want to give a practice or um, a way of supporting people because we're all trying to figure things out right now. We're all trying to go, oh, this is me now. Okay. Um, I need to make I need to make a better space, better use of my space because this other stuff doesn't serve me anymore or whatever.
Right. Well, I did offer a a group setting about it was a 7-day return to self practice. And this is really about alchemizing and standing in your own emotional awareness, your own, you're identifying when you jump out of yourself and how you can then come back to yourself to again and again, very gently, not in, there's no perfect way of doing it, but the awareness of it when it happens, whether to people please or to,
Right. To take care of somebody else's feelings,
right,
which typically means our focus is external.
right,
So so I've been really practicing on filling myself up whenever I see something beautiful like a sunrise or oh my God, we had a new iris that bloomed today. And I just got so excited when I saw her this morning. And I was like, oh. When that happens, I want to fill myself with that so that it emanates from me in my presence, in my thoughts, actions, words, deeds, energy, so that it's in healing for the collective too. Because there's a lot of people that will not see that iris. They'll just walk on by on their way to school, work, whatever, running. I saw somebody out jogging and wasn't looking at anything. And I was like, oh, honey, look at, there's so much beauty right now.
Well, and this is the other thing that I don't want to walk past or run past is that the fact is we have abundance at our fingertips right now. Right now. Stay focused. Intention.
Yeah, but we also are so only looking at what do I need to do? What's my next thing?
Right.
Uh, my Google
But
Calendar
but
rules me versus can I also smell the rosemary as I walk by? Can I also, you know what I mean? At the same time, we played with this about
mhm.
being circular and getting things done, which I feel like is an integral way of living.
It's living lightly, that's for sure.
Oh, I like that.
You're not forcing outcomes. You're not making yourself do something unless this is the thing, that force thing, go gently. Like we didn't come here to just shove food in our face. We came here to just enjoy the sensuality of being human and like loving life and like experiencing it in all its ways. Sun on your face, feeling expansive. Think of something that is so freaking delicious that you just luxuriate in it.
You heard me when I got to the computer this morning. Before we started the record button, I took my first sip of my coffee that has cacao in it too. And I mean, I was like, mm, mm. It's so, it's a slowing down. It's back in the 90s, mindfulness came into the picture, but it's coming back to that. It's coming back to mindful. You're the one that taught me to bless my food before I eat it, to bless my water, so that when I drink it, it is blessing me. And it's little simple ways of, yes, taking care of ourselves. So you could call it self care, but it is also so that we can then be in our purpose
Yeah,
for
exactly.
the
Because
collective care.
it's that oxygen mask. I mean, so much the time I always heard service, service, service. And so I like gave it the fountain, like just, hydrant. And to the point where then I was depleted. So
Yeah,
that's not sustainable, y'all.
right. No, and I was, I think about the way we plant, the way we farm, and why um, the new ways of planting and taking care of the earth are, there's a Hawaiian guy and he and his wife did organic farming and he did a whole blessing like every day of the land.
Mhm.
Every seed, every harvest, every weed he pulled, he blessed because then became part of the compost, which then came back into the dirt. And it just was like,
Now that's intentionality and mindfulness on steroids. Like
yeah,
that, but that is what we're creating. What do we want to create, people? Like
well, delicious food for one thing.
yeah,
I can hardly buy a lot of things from the grocery store because it tastes like,
cardboard.
yeah, I was gonna say sawdust, but same thing.
Yeah.
And so where and it's funny because right above my screen, I've got a thing a word of the year, man, like 8 years ago, my word was create. And I'm thinking, yeah, but it's not just creating for the act of creating for me. It's creating something like I think about every time we make a tweak in the front garden, the many people that walk by this house, ride, drive, that
Mm-hmm.
say, I love your garden. Thank you so much for giving me something to see every day that's always new and different. There's people that actually notice. So I'm not doing it for me. I'm not doing it for them. I'm just doing it because it's a creative outlet that also feels like it's in service, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, um, the mudra for this week is really difficult. And I thought, oh my goodness, is that because selflessness is difficult? And then I realized, no, it's probably not going to translate very well if you're not watching this on video. So I'm going to try to explain it the best way I can. You take your left hand and you're going to be weaving your fingers together with your right hand, but you start with your left hand. You take your pinky and you match it up with the ring finger on your right hand. And then you do the same, and you have to kind of bend it to get the pinky and the ring finger to, of the other two hands to come together. So you're getting already a weird shape. Then you do the same thing here. You take your middle finger with your index finger and your middle finger with your index finger, and then your thumbs come together. And you get this shape, which the um, Indian folks called the cow. And it's because the cow is selfless and it's giving of milk. And so, can we just be, altruistic and sharing our gifts with the world so that we not melt away completely, but that we are so much in service that it's our joy to be living our purpose in that way?
Hmm.
Yum.
Yeah. I remember her.
Yes, there she is. And on that note,
Thank
find
you so much.
find some joy today. So grateful. So
Indeed. Thank you. Thank you.
grateful.